How do you think we should solve the guilty until proven innocent mentality that now surrounds men and sexual assault allegations while still taking women seriously? Reply. Copied from another Reddit post I no longer fully remember. So much to unpack. This is part of what I do, so I'm happy to oblige. First, innocent until proven guilty and believe the victim don't conflict, and I'll tell you why. They refer to different audiences and parts of the process. In order for evidence to be collected and for victims to be treated appropriately for trauma, investigators, counselors, medical professionals, and the support network of the victim should behave as if the victim is telling the truth. Assuming otherwise leads to retrauma, which can undermine the victim's ability to be a competent witness for the prosecution and can impair the collection of evidence. It's a perverse self-fulfilling cycle when disbelief prevents proper investigation and results in a failure to prosecute. But in order to preserve the rights of the accused, the police, defense attorney, judge, and general public must treat the accused as innocent until proven otherwise. The burden is on the prosecutor to prove the crime. In most of Europe, this is simpler because most EU residents have a greater right to privacy than we have in the US, and therefore only those close to the case will know any names. The media is barred from publicizing mere allegations with identifying information. It's true that this places an onerous burden on those who must interact with both the accused and accuser. After all, how can you believe a rape victim and still treat the accused with any dignity or legal respect? Answer: with training. Compartmentalization is one of the key skills of the attorneys with the DA and with the defense bar, as well as the police who investigate these crimes. And finally, there are never times when there is no evidence. Testimony is evidence, and a jury can convict on he said, she said arguments by making a judgment about the reliability of the parties. It's rare for these to result in conviction without more, true, but it is enough. Remember that the jury of your peers is a core constitutional protection against false claims, as they are required to find guilt only when it's beyond a reasonable doubt. When I say above that the general public should treat the accused of innocent until proven guilty, it should not be construed as saying the victim should be treated as a liar. The best role for the general public, if not part of the immediate support network of either party, is no role at all. Patience is a virtue, and public virtue signaling is a selfish and often harmful pastime as applied to such cases. I agree with this, and would add that criminal investigations are different than, say, Supreme Court nominations. It's possible to reasonably decide someone isn't Supreme Court material based on credible testimony without having to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the testimony is true. The bar for criminal conviction is higher than for a job interview or civil case. We drop the insane Fox News victim fantasy that says, believe women somehow equates to, if a woman says it happened, no other evidence is necessary. This is part of the victim narrative designed to discredit real victims of sexual violence. We teach all people that believe victims means that if someone says they were the victim of sexual violence, we don't dismiss their claims. We don't ask them if they're sure they said no strongly enough. We don't ask them what they were wearing. We don't ask them if they had a glass of wine with dinner. We don't ask them if they're sure they want to ruin the accused's life over this. We teach all people that believe victims means that claims should be credibly investigated to learn the facts. Absolutely no different than in an arson, or a mugging, or a murder. In a sexual assault case, we maintain that the accused is innocent in criminal proceedings until proven guilty beyond doubt. If compelling physical and/or eyewitness evidence cannot be produced, then no conviction will occur. We teach all people that it's safe to come forward. Department of Justice statistics indicate that roughly 65% of sexual assaults go unreported, and one key reason that is consistently cited by victims is that they believe the police will not help them. We can dramatically reduce the number of years-old cases for which physical evidence may no longer be available by convincing a person who has just been assaulted that it is safe to come forward immediately and thereby secure any existing physical evidence and eyewitness testimony. Done correctly, this will increase both rates of reporting and rates of conviction, as rightfully accused perpetrators are found guilty of crimes they actually committed. At this point, the challenge will be to fight off false claims, and they will come that the increased conviction rate somehow equates to men being unfairly targeted. We teach all people that in cases where it can be definitively proven, to the standard of evidence we use for any other crime, that a false accusation has been made, then the false accuser shall be tried for that criminal offense. We stop letting proven, convicted rapists get away with a 90-day jail sentence because sports. But you're not asking about criminal proceedings, you're asking about the court of public opinion. Yes, being accused of sexual assault makes a man look bad. So does getting arrested on suspicion of murder. or hitting your kids, stealing from your employer, or viewing bestiality porn. There's no way around this. No matter how fully you're acquitted at trial, your reputation is still going to be forever tarnished in the eyes of the people around you. That's never going to go away, any more than it will for the other crimes. To make progress toward OP's goal, you basically need to reduce the number of difficult-to-prove claims and increase the percentage of assaults that are reported immediately while any existing physical and reliable in-court eyewitness testimony is still readily available. To do that, first convince legitimate victims of sexual assault that they will be heard and helped, and their claims taken seriously and investigated. Once that's done, we make it clear that a provably false allegation will be treated as a criminal offense. I don't think this is limited to men or even to accusations of sexual assault. It applies to any case where testimony exists and all other evidence does not. Further, there is the question of a statute of limitations. Should it exist? For what crimes? For how long? Why? It's entirely possible to accept that someone did a thing, but that they did it so long ago that we won't punish them for it. I think that in cases like this, there is a lot to be said for encouraging people to come forward quickly. I believe this guilty until proven innocent thing is kind of normal. When someone is accused, of course, they will get looked at badly. However, in a trial, the public's way of looking at the alleged criminal is irrelevant. When it comes down to it, we need a fair justice system, period. This way, justice can and will be served. In the case of Kavanaugh, guilty until proven innocent would definitely represent the public's opinion, but not the people who were executing the trial. The ones who decided in the trial clearly showed that this guilty until proven innocent didn't seem to have this bias, at least not to any problematic extent, since he was deemed innocent in the end. However, I do not believe the justice system was honest or correct in deeming Kavanaugh innocent, nor do I think the bias was a problem in this case. Simply because of how convincing Ford's testimony was and how badly Kavanaugh behaved and how he lied about even the most trivial things, such not knowing what a devil's triangle is. High school students being idiots is no new thing, so if he would have admitted its meaning, then he would have had credibility. So guilty until proven innocent sucks, however it really isn't a thing, or at least not much of a relevant one, and if you lie even about the little things, you'll lie about the big ones too. Kavanaugh is guilty, justice was not served. I think the conversation is getting narrowed down to an us versus them issue, which is useless. As detestable as the Kavanaugh debate was, I think some good info about sexual assault did get out because of it. Sexual assault is underreported, victims are put in a prove-it position, conviction rates are low, punishment is really low, etc. Only about 10% of sexual assault are reported. Of those, 2 to 10% are false. On one hand, men need to stop assaulting women, and women need to feel safe coming forward. On the other, women who lie are really throwing a wrench into the issue. This is the catch-22 that makes the discussion devolve into uselessness. But what if we expand it to include all sexual assault, child abuse, and assault by women to men or other women? Now it's less about gender and more about safety and justice. Being knowledgeable about the talking points and learning how to communicate them in a conversation effectively. Victim testimony is evidence. If there is no other evidence, it's entirely possible to arrest and convict someone based on victim testimony alone, as long as the testimony is deemed credible enough. In a court of law, the accused are innocent until proven guilty. However, our personal opinions do not have the same constraint. In fact, when making decisions on who to bring into or work in social circles, it is dangerous and irresponsible to maintain that standard. The standards of a guilty conviction are really high, and many guilty people are found to be not guilty. Maintaining this standard outside a court of law puts out friends and co-workers' safety at risk. Would you hire O.J. Simpson or invite him for a night out with your friends? For positions of extreme power, such as Supreme Court Justice, we should have the absolute highest standards that need to be met. It is absolutely ridiculous that someone would need to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt to disqualify someone's nomination. I would actually argue that probable cause should be enough to kill someone's nomination until a thorough investigation has taken place. Otherwise, you risk putting violent and unqualified people into lifetime appointments of the highest power.